What's up, guys? This video should not be that long. We're going to go over the SPY, the NASDAQ, the IWM, the crypto markets. I'm going to talk about what should probably end up happening tomorrow. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started with the video. Number one, if you guys want access to my live trades as well as trades from other successful traders, join the link in the bio in the comment section. It's a link to the Discord server, and the Discord server is completely free. So if you want access to that, definitely join. We've been killing it, and we would love to have you. So here's the SPY. So now we can see why, essentially, after we closed below these uptrend levels, why I wanted to get into puts for basically 3 to 4 weeks out. And now, like today, was a good indication of what happens basically when you enter into puts on the break of these uptrends. Clearly, very, very profitable play. Intraday, we saw early morning bearishness, and then we really ripped to the upside later on, and then we ended up falling again, and we basically closed somewhere in the middle. So tomorrow, I'm assuming is going to be a very similar day to Wednesday and Thursday, where we're going to chop. So what happened is, especially on days where there's little volume, days before a long vacation, you buy at support and you sell at resistance. So what they did was they brought it down to essentially 373. Right, they brought it down to 373 essentially, and then they brought the market back up, and then they brought it to essentially 380, and 380 was resistance, and then they brought the market down. So they just had a much bigger range today than they did on Wednesday, which is why people that were trying to go short on all of the rips that were happening to the upside lost money, because they didn't play strength to the upside. They were trying to fight against it. So there was more momentum, more volume throughout the day on today than there was yesterday. So it made day trading a bit easier. But in terms of swinging, we can clearly see that the MACD on the SPY is still very bearish. We're pointed down, and there's clearly a lot of room to go before we even get back down to this MACD line. So this, if we continue falling lower, we can see that we're not falling very sharply, right? The price of the SPY is falling somewhat sharply, but the MACD here is not falling very sharply at all, which shows that there's a lot more room to the downside in terms of where the SPY can go until the MACD touches this orange line or begins to break down below and become oversold. So by that time, the SPY would have most likely made a new low. So this is not a good technical setup from the MACD. I hope that made sense. So once again, our goal was to short rallies, right? And we want to see a break of new lows. But now we're entering basically right in between this range. We're in the middle of this range here, right? And this is not a good risk reward for swings either way, for the long or the short side. So it's better to just wait for more direction at the end of this week, and then see how we open up on Tuesday and see where we are next week. But we're not in favorable long or short position right now at this point. So yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to talk about in terms of strength or weakness. Just flip a coin if you think something's gonna happen tomorrow. You just have to, this isn't really a time that I have strong conviction to the up or the downside, as I did, before, buying dips or going short, etc. We're in the middle. So, and this is the SPY. The same thing correlates to the NASDAQ, the IWM, everything in the stock market. And the other thing that I want to share is the VIX. So the VIX, they kept the VIX at bay today, and it wanted to start ripping, but then they kept it at bay. And this is what they've been doing this entire time. They've wanted the VIX not to start ripping up, and they wanted to control volatility. So that's why we see these staircase movements down, because all of this is a way of basically just controlling the implied volatility and controlling the way that the volatility of the market is, essentially, right? The other thing that happened was crude oil really took a hit as well today, which also caused a lot of the SPY, and it also caused the market in general to just fall, right? Because crude oil also had like a pretty red day. So that's that for the entire stock market. Also, the dollar fell a bit, and the bonds started to like really have a good strong day. So if we continue seeing the strength out of the bonds, then like some more really extreme strength out of the bonds, then maybe that can signal some sort of a short-term relief bounce out of the SPY if we can close back above like 383 potentially. That might be pretty interesting. So we're going to constantly be taking a look at the bonds as well. But aside from that, that's my analysis on the entire stock market. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the crypto market. So Bitcoin is clearly not doing too well. We're getting very, very close to this trend line here on the log chart on Bitcoin. This trend line connected from 2015 to 2020 to now. And we're getting very close. But the momentum is clearly very, very bearish currently, right, on this candle. But you see that the MACD indicator is moving upwards. And we're starting to see positive divergence in the RSI, as well as in the MACD. So let's see if this support level can hold. If this doesn't hold, then we can easily see some crazy capitulation. And that crazy capitulation is going to be a really good long-term buying opportunity, in my opinion. So any of these, I mean, at the end of the day, Bitcoin is now below 20K, right? So for long-term, if you believe that Bitcoin is going to be 100, then this is a pretty solid risk reward for a long-term investment, in my opinion. But in terms of my what was it called? In terms of my prediction that I thought that Bitcoin was going to bounce into Monday, it doesn't look too good for that. So we're gonna have to see how it does. But for now, it's starting to look grim. Unless we see some sort of a like a strong relief bounce, either Friday or Saturday, I don't see us bouncing on Monday. But regardless, this is very close to support on the log chart. On the non-log chart, we can also see that on the weekly, we're very close to this trend line support as well. So we're pretty close to these levels of support. It makes sense to, personally, I thought that we were going to bounce into the end of this week. If not, I still am going to see if we can lean bullish next week, but it just doesn't seem natural how bearish we are. But we're gonna adapt and we'll see what happens. Regardless, we're at levels of support. We're just going to trade these levels blindly. It is what it is. And now that we're closer to levels of support, we're getting to a more favorable longing opportunity. So what they could be doing is they could be breaking through levels of support to get everyone bearish, and then they can rip it to the upside. So I guess that might be the play that they're making. And a rip to 22 to 23K would be interesting if that were to happen. But regardless, it doesn't look like my Bitcoin prediction is working out. So aside from that, I hope you guys have an amazing day. I'm going to make another YouTube video on Sunday, and I'm going to be, I'll see you guys in the Discord tomorrow. So without further ado, have an amazing day. Thank you.